Woods, and this is my very first video on this YouTube channel. Looking forward to talking all things NASCAR. For my first video, what I wanted to do with the season getting ready to start, I thought I would come up with some bold predictions. Starting simple here on the NASCAR Fix. And I'm going to have 3 bold predictions going into this season. Now keep in mind, these are bold predictions. Good chance these things aren't going to happen. But if they do happen, I can say that I called it. All right, well, the first bold prediction that I think will happen in the 2024 Cup Series season is you are going to have to win a race if you're going to make the playoffs. You will not be able to point your way in. If a driver wants to make the playoffs unless they are the regular season champion, you better win a race. I think there's an excellent chance that happens this year. And here is why. First off, let's consider the drivers who won a race in 2022 and did not win one this past year. Austin Cindric, Austin Dillon, Chase Briscoe, Chase Elliott, Alex Bowman, Bubba Wallace. Now, I know he did point his way into the playoffs, but he did not win last year. There's 6 right off the top. Daniel Suarez, another. These are guys who are more than capable of winning a race and did not last year. And with the exception of Bubba Wallace, they all missed the playoffs. And then you think about the drivers who did win a race last year, and no reason to think they can't win again, although their chances are a little bit longer. Michael McDowell winning at the Indy Road Course, and of course Ricky Stenhouse winning the Daytona 500. And then you think about the guys who you think should probably win this year. Ty Gibbs had a great rookie season, and he progressively improved over the 2023 season. Another guy, Brad Keselowski, he had to point his way into the playoffs, and he did without a lot of difficulty. Man, that RFK team was running very strong, especially down the stretch. I just think there is that opportunity. Now, the one caveat on all of this is that it's very possible we're not going to have 16 winners in the first 26 races. If you remember, in 2022, we had first-time winners for that season in the playoffs. In fact, the first round was all new winners for that season, and it didn't get them in the playoffs because the playoffs had already started. But there is that possibility, and one thing that is going to set the tone right off the bat this year is that Daytona 500. Now, if someone like a Denny Hamlin or Kyle Busch, let's say they win the Daytona 500, well, that's already one race where a wild card team is not going to have an opportunity to get in. But if someone unexpected, like, for example, Michael McDowell, who has already won the Daytona 500, if he wins, then you're already looking at one potential team who was probably on the outside looking in. And something else that I think you have to consider, too, is you have some teams that have really high expectations this year compared to what they've done in previous years. And one of those teams is Legacy Motor Club. Now, they had a pretty disastrous 2023, and a lot of that had to do with them announcing that they were switching from Chevrolet to Toyota, and Chevrolet just said, okay, bye-bye, and left them out in the cold. And they still did pretty well down the stretch. But now they have Toyota support. They are a secondary team for Toyota. However, still, they're just the third of 3 Toyota teams. Not only that, they received major sponsorship in the offseason, and you're going to see that all over their cars this year. And let's be honest, Eric Jones, very capable driver, and he's another guy who won a race in 2022, did not last year, but no reason to think he could not again if they can get that Toyota off the ground early to start the year. And then you've also got John Hunter Nemechek, who is more than capable of running up front if given the right equipment. And who knows, if Legacy really takes off, he could be threatening for a win too. Another team I'm also very curious about, though, is Spire. Their expectations are high. They've spent a lot of money in the offseason. They spent money to bring in Zane Smith, Carson Hocevar. They also brought in some high-paid spotters. And I'll be very curious to see what their bar is. But let's say Corey LaJoie, what if he wins at Talladega? All to say, think there's a very good chance we could have more than 16 winners in the regular season, and thus you better win a race, because pointing your way in, just don't know if that's going to happen. Bold prediction number 2. By the end of the season, Dale Earnhardt Jr. will have purchased a charter and will field at least one Cup car in 2025. Now, let me preface by saying I don't know anything. I don't have any inside knowledge, but we do know that Dale Earnhardt Jr. has explored that idea for a long time now. Chip Ganassi, even on his podcast, Dale Jr.'s podcast, nudged him along, saying, you should be in the big leagues. And you know that Dale Jr. is looking out for it. Now, this is the key. First off, of course, there has to be someone that is willing to sell a charter. The second thing is this charter agreement between NASCAR and the teams, that has to get finished up. I would have a hard time seeing that not come to fruition. A charter agreement gets done, and not only that, these teams get an idea of how much money they're going to be bringing in. Dale Jr. is going to have an idea of what is he actually buying with this charter. And I think when he gets that information, that might be the time to jump on it. You want to see Dale Jr. in there as an owner. He's done great at the Xfinity level, but it isn't pretty fascinating and wild that Dale Jr. is not on the Cup level. And I think it's only a matter of time before he is. And that is why bold prediction number 2, Dale Earnhardt Jr. will field a Cup team in 2025 as an owner. Bold prediction number 3, Ross Chastain is your 2024 Cup Series champion. But I think there is a path. Number 1, we're not guaranteed, or at least Ford and Toyota are not guaranteed that they are going to just jump out of the blocks and have speed right away. These new cars, you never know. Now, granted, they could catch on in the second half and blow Chevrolet away. If they don't, Chevrolet is going to have a huge advantage, and that obviously goes in Trackhouse's favor and, of course, Ross Chastain's favor. Number 2, I really think that whole thing with Hendrick Motorsports at Darlington really messed with Chastain. It's so strange that the speed just dropped off almost immediately after that. He did bounce back with the win at Nashville, and then again, of course, in the season finale at Phoenix. But I think this is a bounce back year. If you remember, of course, 2 years ago, the Hail Melon got him into the Final Four, and he finished second in the points. No one saw that coming. I think this could be a redemption tour for Ross. I really do. And a big key, he won at Phoenix. Kind of going away. I know Ryan Blaney might have had the better car there at the end, but Ross held him off, and Ross went on to the victory. And that was huge. I think that was huge for him. Great momentum going into the offseason. And championship race is at Phoenix again. You got to think he's going to be up there. If he can just get to the championship 4, I think everything is right there in front of him. And then you also throw in the new Anheuser-Busch sponsorship. Ross is in a very good position. Ross is a polarizing figure, I know that, but I lean toward, I like Ross, and I didn't always at first, especially when he was driving for Ganassi. He just ruffled too many feathers, and granted, that continued. The only difference was he was ruffling feathers while he was racing up front. With Ganassi that one season, he was ruffling feathers while racing 15th to 20th. He can actually win races now, and people just don't like, other drivers just don't like the fact that someone else is in there shaking it up. I think Ross has an excellent chance to make it to the Final Four, and if he can get there, I think there's an excellent chance he could be your 2024 Cup Series champion. And what a wild story that would be. That's enough for this first edition of the NASCAR Fix. I hope you enjoyed. I welcome your feedback. Please hit the subscribe button. Please hit the like button. I appreciate it. I'd love to get this thing off the ground in a positive way. Going to have a lot more content coming, and look forward to the interaction. For now, I'm Jeff Woods. This is your NASCAR Fix.